a sign of a good artist is being able to cloak your sources, I suppose. Well, it's something that I came up with on the spur of the moment. It's based on a blues, but I wanted it to have some kind of meaning. You have to have some thought behind what you're playing, you know, something like an emotional hook. And I thought I'd give myself a little bit of inspiration, because it's nice to be back in these surroundings. In this area particularly, this area sort of means quite a lot to me. I was actually born not very far from here and spent a lot of time in this area as a youth before I sort of started moving up the railway track to the outskirts of London. So I wrote a tune which I called New End, which is a kind of a nice little kind of play on words, I suppose. It's the beginning of something and it's the end of something old. You know, it depends how you want to interpret it. Essentially, it's a new take on an old format, which is the blues. Because the blues, you know, has endless permutations, and it's dedicated to a street which was originally the hospital that I was born in, just up in Hampstead, which resonates with me like this area does. I think originally Hampstead was built as a spa town. Because of that, the outlying streets became places of ill repute to entertain customers that were coming up. So that kind of resonates with me, coming from central London, i.e. Soho. So I wrote this little tune based on kind of a blues format, but we gave it a little bit more of a modal edge, a forward-looking edge, shall we say. Yeah, I called it New End. What inspires me to write songs? Well, actually, I suppose I'm influenced by my surroundings. Essentially, I'm a product of my parents' record collection, which comes from the 1960s and 1970s. So it's kind of Motown, soul, funk. Everything I listen to that resonates with me is sort of steeped in a blues-type sort of feeling. But I actually had a classical upbringing as well. I suppose that there's some kind of classical mode to my thinking and the way that I write. I learned to read and write music before I could actually improvise. I like to write pieces of music first, something just from the mind, work away from the instruments and not be influenced by the sound of my saxophone or a piano or what have you, just try and write what comes into my mind and what I hear. It depends who I'm hanging out with and who I'm listening to can have an influence on how the music comes out. Sometimes I'll come up with an amazing idea and I'll write this whole thing out, then I'll sort of produce it, get it together and realise before the finished product that it actually is something else I've been listening to about 6 months earlier. I thought, that sounds so good. Oh no, it's something else, yeah. It might have been an Usher song I might have been hearing, I don't know. But it's all good, you know, you have to kind of interpret it in your own way, and hopefully whatever you do, even if it's heavily influenced by other sources, you end up sounding like yourself. Or at least a sign of a good artist is being able to cloak your sources, I suppose. But I'm kind of used to playing outdoors, you know, musicians, especially with festivals and all that, musicians are used to working outdoors. I've been doing a yearly festival called Zermatt Unplugged, and they decided one particular year to attempt a record, which is the world's highest performance, and I mean high as in elevation. What they did is they helicoptered a grand piano to the base camp of the Matterhorn and set up a stage there, plied us with loads of schnapps, and then we had to put on a performance, and we did set a world record, which was amazing for that year. I don't know if it's been broken yet, but it sort of turned into a regular gig, which really plays havoc with the health. I have to say, it's a really tough gig to do. So that's one of the craziest things I've done, play on the base camp of the Matterhorn. I was kind of forced into music at an early age, like peer pressure, I suppose, of the worst kind, because both my parents were musicians. So I didn't really understand why I was doing it, but it was something that I thought I had to get together, you know, to follow in my dad's footsteps, please my mum, whatever it was. So, you know, these are the sort of things you do, like, you know, some parents will force their kids into sports or what have you. It didn't really have a deeper meaning until I gave up, and I didn't play for about 5 years. And I realised that music, for me, is a way of life. I mean, life without music, generally, you ask anybody. Believe it or not, there are some people in this world that don't like music, which is incredible. I can't believe that. It's incredible to me. But life without music, could you imagine the world without music? Music is everywhere. You can hear the birds, you can hear the rhythm of life, you know? So, yeah, music means a lot to me. At one stage in my life, I suppose, I used to question why I was doing it. You take the hardships and everything. And now, in today's world, I probably think it's one of the only jobs that's worth doing. I have to say that. From my perspective, as you get older and you sort of collect your experiences and your sounds and your influences, being able to work with other people is very important, because writing is a singularly minded trip in a way, because you're trying to get your influences out and everything, but sometimes other people can help flesh out your ideas and do it better than you. You're only as good as the worst player in the band.